No. Do you exercise or anything, or how are you taking? Like you really
Yeah.
look you look really healthy.
Thanks.
From like all the stories we've talked about, like you look really good. So is it diet? How do you take care of yourself?
I take care of myself. I do exercise. I ride horses, which is a lot of.
How could I forget about
I
that?
don't know
How could I
you could
forget
forget
the
about
one
that.
thing? And I kept saying that I'm going to ask you what. So is that something that you do for recreational purposes? What is it called, first of all? What's the name?
Equestrianism.
It's called what?
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Just let's call it horse riding. But if you ride
Use
in
that word again. I want to learn something.
equestrianism,
That's
if you are an equestrian,
Yeah.
right, you take part in equestrian sports. Equus is the Latin word for horse. So if you're an equestrian, you ride horses.
I bet I'm not the only one who didn't know that. But now we know. Now we know. Okay, so that you do to clear your head, or is it you train people, or is it something you're good at from a young age?
I've been riding since I was 3 years old.
Oh. You have to be friends after this, you know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've never been on a horse.
You've never been on a horse. Okay,
Um,
so
you know which
we'll
my
make it
favorite
happen.
song is right now?
What?
Guess.
I don't know.
Old Town Road. You don't know that song?
I don't.
Billy Ray Cyrus and
Are you talking
Lil
about
Nas X.
country? Oh no! Are you talking about that rap song that got merged with the country
Yeah,
song?
you don't like
yeah,
it?
no, it's not that. I just haven't gone out of my way to listen to it.
I have to listen to it because you might just come and try and do like something with you on the horses, maybe to promote your episode. Because, but okay, let's just go back to this. Yeah. So what exactly is it that you do with? You ride horses for fun?
I ride horses for fun. I'm trying to create awareness around the sport as well.
Okay.
Just because horses are such fantastic animals and they really have a unique way of connecting with human beings.
Okay.
I really want the Kenyan Ministry of Sport to take notice of what equestrianism can do for the country. Eventing is the only sport in the Olympics where men and women can compete on an equal stage. But not just for those reasons. What horses are able to do for empowering human beings. This is what makes them such special creatures. Is that, and it's really with any animals that you work with. But they teach compassion, non-verbal communication, empathy, patience, because sometimes you want a horse to do something and they just don't do it. They're just not feeling it that day, And so sometimes a resort might be to beat it or to, something like that. But what you're doing, which is the same thing you're doing if you're with a child, is you're instilling fear. You're not...
If you don't do this,
yes,
these are the repercussions.
Yeah, these are the repercussions. So what I'm trying to show is that there are lots of people that own horses in Kenya, and then there's a whole economy around horses as well. So whether it's producing feed or the care of the horses or anything like that, there's a really good opportunity for people to be empowered through horsemanship, whether it's attaining international diplomas and skills, because it's a multi-billion dollar corporate institution around the world. You can get some horses in in Europe that cost €7 million.
I've seen in those crazy auctions.
Yeah.
I've seen it in auctions and I'm like, wow, why is a horse worth that much?
Yeah, so what is that in shillings? Is that like 70 billion or something?
That's
7 billion.
7 million, it's
euro.
like oh wow, okay, that's
Euro,
close
so that's
to,
more than dollars.
that should be
It's got to be in the billions.
no.
Or is it not?
Because you multiply by 100 first of all. Wait, could it be?
Yeah.
No, because $1 million, $1 million is 80 million Kenya shillings.
$1 million is 80 million shillings.
Oh,
So 7 million euro is what, about $12 million?
yeah.
So that's almost.
Listen, it's just way too much money, first of all. It's way too much money when I think about it like it's one horse, first of all. Like,
That's
should
more
we
than-
do
that's
that?
more- how many cows is that?
Oh, that's crazy. Wait, should we do the math right now just
Yeah,
for the
let's-
podcast so that people can understand what
Yeah.
we're talking about? So if we're talking about 1 million, you said euros
Yeah,
or 7 million euros?
7 million euro.
7 7 million euros, and multiply that by, how much is a euro right now?
I think it's 120.
Let's even do 120. Let's
Okay.
just do an
Yeah, because I know
estimate,
that's
right?
to the British pound, so
So this horse would be,
840 million, almost a billion shillings.
yeah, the horse would cost 840 million Kenyan shillings. Oh my goodness. If that horse gets a cold, everybody within a certain radius, somebody's getting fired, somebody's getting excommunicated from the environment. Who let this happen? Oh, but wow.
So
Like you've said,
yeah.
and do you think, like, even our environment, it's good for horses, I'm guessing, right?
yeah, it's good for horses. A lot of people own horses,
Wow.
but what's really important is the people that, the guys that look after the horses
Yeah.
and everything like that, the
Yeah.
care. Because in countries like Europe and the US, those are professions that are highly paid. Those are skills that are transferable. And so, yeah, like a farrier who does the shoes of the horses, they're never unemployed. Yeah, it's a job that is in really high demand. And the thing is that now that the Kenyan economy is picking up, there are more, there's a much bigger middle class, and there are great riding schools, in Karen and in Kitisuru and everything like that. Just to get on the back of a horse, it doesn't cost a whole lot of money.
How much does it cost?
To ride for 45 minutes or something for an adult is like 1,200 baht.
Okay. Will
You
you
know.
teach me at least how to ride a horse?
I mean, kind of.
Oh, wow.
I would have to start.
Wow.
I think it's more important to start on the ground. You understand how the horse communicates, the things to look for.
Okay.
Before I
okay.
would even put you on the back
Okay,
of the horse, but
okay.
it's different. It's different. I have a different approach, the riding schools are really, 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 really good schools. And if you decide then you want to compete, then you go through the Horse Association of Kenya, and there are shows that happen several times a year, and they're in Gilgil, they're in Soisambu, they're in Timau, they're at Jamhuri Park, and it's a really great opportunity for people to come together and watch a really fantastic sport, and for kids to compete in something
Yeah.
other than, generic school sports. And it keeps kids also greatly entertained, occupied during the summer, and they get to learn loss. They get to learn, when you don't win a show or you don't win a class, that's something that is really good for you to learn, because it teaches you how you can get better. And it's not just you that gets better. You and your horse have to get better together at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's a really unique, special relationship. There's polo, there's horse racing, there are all of these events that we can go and see and support each other as Kenyans, as a community. And if we could really come together on this and be the leading nation in Africa, because that's what the sports Ministry of Sport is looking to do, is bring tourism to Kenya. And if we can put a spotlight on equestrianism and what that can do
Yeah.
for Kenya, because people can come for shows, but
Yeah.
then they would also come to see the wildlife as well.
Yep.
And learning horse communication will also help people understand that animals have languages. We just don't think that they do, because we think that they're just dumb animals and nini and why should we protect them? But they're very, very clever, astute beings. They just communicate differently than we do. You'll never see a Maasai mistreating his animals,
Never.
will you?
Never.
You'll never see it.
Even on the road, you see how when the cows are crossing, I
Yeah.
was like, yo, leave the cows alone.
They
Let
treat
them
them
just cross.
They treat them so well.
Yeah.
And that compassion that they have for their animals, it teaches really good human skills as well. So the children of the Maasai, they're taught compassion, care, responsibility
age.
from a very, very young age. And for the kid that grows up in the city in Nairobi, even though they don't have access to cows, they have access to horses.
Yeah.
And horses are the same. They're still herd animals. They still look for a leader, and they still require more of a level of respect. The Native Americans believed that if an animal or a horse could take you into war or it could save your life, then it must have been sent from God. It must be sacred. And this is what I'm trying to reignite in African society, because Africans have been horsemen for thousands of years. Today, in northern Sudan, horses still sleep in people's homes.
Wow.
The Bedouin cultures, their wealth has been based on their horses' bloodlines for thousands of years. These creatures are absolutely phenomenal and fantastic. And I think that if we as Kenyans start to really adopt and reignite a horse culture in Kenya, we'll do fantastic things, not just for tourism or for raising the economy or empowering the people, but it will be able to show the value of the natural wealth that we already have in our country that does come in the form of wildlife and conservation and picking up trash or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And that to me is so important. I was in Nakuru National Park the other day, and I was driving around with someone, and they just threw trash outside of the car. And there's so much trash now outside in Nakuru by the lake, plastic bottles, everything
Where the
like
flamingos are usually.
that. So much trash. So much trash and sewage. And when I asked him to go and pick up the trash, he said, "You've been hanging around Zungus too long," right? And I said to him, and his livelihood literally depends on the national park. His livelihood literally depends on that. And so explaining to him that, like, if we chafua the game parks, then people won't come to the game parks.
Flamingos, man, might just
Flamingos,
start
hippos,
being affected. Even.
everything. Because,
even
because
hippos.
they graze inside the water,
yeah.
you know, and they graze outside. And so it's, you know, it's all connected. And we really have to start appreciating that as Kenyans, because what we have here in Africa is so rare and it's so beautiful. And we're all, you know, we're just expanding at such a massive rate that we don't realize that we're really cutting off what is naturally ours, and we really need to start appreciating
and a lot
that again.
of, if you think about it, so many people save for years before they actually come and experience what we just naturally have.
What we naturally have and we take for granted.
Yeah, that's true. Is this something that you've thought about doing for, like, for a living? Because, like, you're so passionate, and you see, look, you can break down all these things when it comes to is it horsemanship? Like, there's so much that you're talking about. Like, but is that what you're thinking of pursuing?
My main...
It would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I'm already actively engaged in. And, you know, there are a couple of horse shows coming up. You know, there's the Horse of the Year show, there's the Tamau event and everything like that, which people used to go to in, you know, in the hundreds, but not so much anymore. But, you know, just there's going to be shows coming up at Jamhuri Park, and I really encourage people to go and see it. It is something that I'm so passionate about, and, you know, maybe I might take it on professionally, but for right now, my big thing is emotional intelligence and you know, effective communication, because we really need to start learning to communicate effectively and to start seeing everybody in our immediate environment and non-immediate environment as people and not foreign entities, you know?
Yeah.